So, I'm not quite sure what topic to discuss today, but I know one thing for sure. I need to try and stay out the sun today to give my skin a break. Otherwise, it's going to be so sore. I don't feel too bad actually. I'm not stinging, I'm not burning like I normally am. I've just had a shower and it felt okay. So, yeah, but I still feel like I need to just give my skin a time to recover and then hopefully at the weekend maybe get back out in the sun again.
Okay, in today's topic, I want to talk about driving and insurance. Now, this is going to come in a few different parts, and I'd like you to bear with me because it's a little bit complicated to explain, but I'm hoping you'll get what I'm trying to say, and maybe I can use somebody's help out there who's watching or listening or whatever. So grab yourself a brew. You might want to put this on the background because it's not going to be very exciting to watch. It's just going to be me talking about an incident that I got involved in. So like I say, it's going to come in a few different parts. And first I want to start off by talking about driving itself. Now, I'm going to start off by saying I am in no way means the best driver in the world. I'm just not. You know what I mean? But I'm not a dangerous driver. I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't do stupid stuff whilst driving. I'm a safe driver. I don't speed. I don't use my mobile while driving. I don't pull off stupid manoeuvres. I follow the rules when it comes to driving, and I drive as safely and as best I can. So that's all I can say when it comes to driving, which I believe I'm an okay driver. I'm a decent driver, you know what I mean? Now, when it comes to learning how to drive, personally, well, it took me a while. It took me 3 years on and off to do driving lessons. Over a space of 3 years, I did driving lessons on and off. It took me 3 attempts to pass my theory test, which is blooming hard. I mean, I think it's changed now. I'm not sure if it's still around or if they've made it hard or how it works today. But when I did it, bunch of questions. It was 2 parts of the test where it was question based, and then obviously you had to watch videos and obviously hazard perceptive and all that lot. If you failed one part and passed the other, you had to do both parts again. It took me 3 attempts to do that because I'm just not, in general, not good at tests anyway. And then when it comes to the driving lesson itself, again, took me 3 attempts. Now, obviously, back then, when I did my driving test, I was gutted, you know what I mean? I just wanted to pass. The first time, I think I should have... In fact, to be honest with you, I should have really passed on my first time because I did one daft thing that made me fail, which was when I was turning into a road, I slightly went up on the curb and that made me fail. So that was my first attempt, and it took me 2 more attempts after that, which... Like I say, back then, I was devastated. However, now, you can't rush driving. Now, I know a lot of people take these crash courses. These crash courses where you learn how to drive in the space of 8 weeks, sit your test, and that's that. I don't believe in them, personally. I really don't believe it. I think when it comes to driving, there is a lot to learn. Not only is there a lot to learn, but there is a lot of road conditions to learn in. Daytime, nighttime, weather conditions. There is so much to learn when it comes to driving that it is impossible to learn it in the space of 8 weeks. Now, if you've done a crash course and you've passed your driving within that space of time, fine, you know what I mean, good. But, however, whether you've been doing driving lessons for 3 years or a few months and passed your driving test, I personally believe when it comes to driving, people believe once they've passed their driving test and they're out on the road by themselves without that driving instructor sat next to them, that's basically when they think they can drive. Well, actually, you're wrong. The day you start learning how to drive is actually the day you pass your test, because every day when it comes to driving, you are learning. And it's even worse when you haven't got that somebody sat there next to you pointing the right out to you, pointing directions out to you, you know what I mean, pointing out where you're going wrong or right. That is the day you start learning. And actually, if I'm aware, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that a majority of accidents are caused by people within the first 2 or 3 months of them passing the test. Because why not? You've passed your test, you're confident, you get in your car, you're big-headed, you're full of it, and then you go mess it up by doing something daft. And that's when an accident is caused, because you're full of it. You think, oh, I know how to drive now, I'm good at driving, I've passed now, I'm good. You're wrong. You learn the day you pass your test. I mean, I personally believe every day I get in a car and drive, I come across different situations where I'm learning. You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. I'm not a perfect driver, because yes, when it comes to driving, I have made mistakes. But like I said, I try and be the best driver that I can be and be careful when it comes to driving. So one thing I disagree with when it comes to driving is when you take your driving test, you can't learn how to drive on a motorway until after you've passed your test, which I think's wrong, because again, once you've passed your driving test, you can just get in a car and go drive. Now, if you haven't learned how to drive on a motorway properly, you don't know what you're doing. I'm sorry, but you genuinely don't know what you're doing. Now, when I passed my driving test, I actually still had a few more extra lessons. I actually still, on top of me passing my test, I still had about a couple of months worth more lessons, because I wanted to learn properly how to drive on a motorway, because I didn't want to just jump straight onto this busy, fast speed motorway when I didn't know what I was doing. And that, again, that's where a lot of accidents are caused. These new drivers, when they haven't learned how to drive on a motorway, are zooming onto the motorway and getting themselves into a major accident because they genuinely don't know how to use. Why it's not part of your lessons, or why that's not part of the test, having to learn on a motorway, I have no idea. I think it is so daft. And personally, I believe when it comes to driving, you should have to drive in all weather types, which, all right, I can see why that would be difficult, because if you're starting your driving lessons at the beginning of summer, you might not want to wait till winter and wait till we have a bad snow day to have a driving lesson. I can understand why that might be a bit complicated. However, driving in snow is, I'm sorry, but it's scary as hell to me. It's something that I avoided at all costs. I don't think I ever properly driven in snow when I was driving. I avoided it if I could, because you see all these cars skinning down hills, and you know what I mean, because they don't know how to brake properly when they're on a slippy hill. I avoided it at all costs, so I wouldn't get it. I was terrified to get myself into that situation. So, but however, you know, people don't do driving lessons at night. You know, again, driving at night is so hard. It's so tiring, because you know what I mean, you've got lights in your face. If you're tired, you're dropping off, and it's just a whole different ball game. However, there are different types of drivers. As I say, there are good drivers who, like me, who make the odd mistake. I think we all do it. We might pip a red light at the last second. You know, when you approach the traffic lights and they change to red and you just quickly zoom by. I think we've all done that. However, there's a difference in that to which I've picked up on recently, which aggravates the hell out of me. These, what I like to call boy racers. Boy racers in the fancy smart cars who are doing 60 mile an hour down a 20 mile an hour road. It is ridiculous. Just because you've got a smart, fast car does not mean you need to drive fast in it. You know what I mean? I mean, in fact, my dad has a very, very good point on this. Why on earth do they build cars that could go up to 250 mile an hour when there were no roads in England that you can drive at 250 mile an hour? You know, even on the motorway, at the most, I've hit 100 mile an hour, which is still 20 mile an hour over the speed limit. And I've only done that on when it's been quiet and there's not been many cars on the motorway. You can only do up to, is it 70, maybe 80 mile an hour on the motorway. And you know what I mean? There was people dashing down the motorway at 150 mile an hour. It is wrong. If you want to drive fast, Go on a racetrack. Go and be a race car driver, because when you're dashing around country roads or small pub, you know, community roads where the kids are at and schools, and you're driving down a road at 50 mile an hour on a 10-20 mile an hour road, you need to get off the roads. You seriously need to learn how to drive and get off the roads, because it's dangerous. And then obviously the people who drink and drive, use drugs and drive, and most of all use the mobile and drive, it winds me right up when I see somebody driving past me and they're on the mobile. You might have it in your head that, oh, it's okay, I'm safe, nothing's ever going to happen to me. No, it is dangerous. Get the hell off the road if you are using your mobile whilst driving. It's dangerous. Do not do it. Even hands-free. Yes, they say that's better, but nevertheless it's still a distraction and can still be dangerous. So that's driving. Now I'm going to come on to insurance, and I'm going to talk about an incident that I got involved in. Now, I can't speak for all insurance companies, but I'm going to speak for one in particular and speak what I know of car insurance. Now, you take out car insurance to protect you as a driver, and like me, when I took my car insurance out, I took I protected my no claims as well. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, when you're in an accident and it's somebody else's fault, or that somebody else doesn't have an insurance and you get in an accident, your no claims is protected, and whatnot. Now, I was involved in an accident, and it really, really wound me up. And it wasn't a major accident. It wasn't a massive big crash like you normally see on motorways. It was a small bump, right? Bear that in mind. It was a tiny little bump, right? And I've actually got pictures here, and I'm going to explain the road and explain the situation. So here we have, I was parked here. Well, not parked, but I was coming out of this road here. Now what we have here, this here, just offshot here, is a car park and a KFC, right? And I was gonna roll out here, go across the road to turn up the road here, right? Now here, right, when you drive up the road, in the middle of the centre of the road, it turns into a lane to turn onto a road that goes here alongside a KFC. Now further down, just offshot here, opposite KFC, there's an hospital. Now there is no lane, however there is a slight turning that turns into the hospital here, and then after that there's some traffic lights. So let's see if I've got a couple of pictures here. Yeah, so this one's probably the best one because you can see most of the road. So basically what I was doing, I wanted to pull out of here and then pull up the road. Now I sort of obviously edged towards here, and a car was coming down this side of the road and saw that I wanted to come out. He stopped to let me out, right? So I edged out carefully a little bit further, and there was another car coming up this side of the road, right, on this side, and obviously saw that this car had stopped to let me out and saw that I was just out. He stopped to let me out, so that way the road was free for me to pull across and turn up here. So what happened was, as I pulled out, which I didn't speed out, I wasn't going really fast, I just pulled out, a taxi driver was zooming down the centre of the road here to turn into this hospital here, where it's not a lane. As you can clearly see in these images, I've got another shot of it here. As you can clearly see in that image there, right, there is lines going across the road showing that that's not a lane. That is the centre of the road. We have, even though cars do, as you can see from this shot here, cars do drive down here to pull into the hospital, but it's definitely not a lane. This is why it's a really bad junction, this, because every morning and every evening you see cars pulling down here and then pulling into there, which blocks anybody coming up here turning into this car park for KFC. It just blocks them. So like I said, this car is zooming down here, and as I pulled out, I hit him. I went into the side of him, which dented his passenger side door. Now, what happened then, I reversed back into the car park. The taxi driver got out and has instantly started blaming me. And I'm like, sorry, mate, I personally believe that wasn't my fault. I personally believe that accident was not my fault. And I just sat there going, sorry, mate, it wasn't my fault. You shouldn't have been there. And he's like, it's a lane. I'm like, you know what I mean? It wasn't my fault. So the guy said, right, I'm going to call the police out. Now, at this point in time, when this accident happened, I just picked Rebecca up from school. It was after school. I just picked her up and I wanted to take her home. However, I sat there in the car for a while and no cops were showing up. No police were showing up. So I got out the car and I said to the taxi driver, I said, look, mate, I'm sorry. I want to get my child home. You have my insurance. If you want to send the police around to my house later on, you're more than welcome. So I took Rebecca home. Did not hear anything for a couple of weeks. Then I got a letter in the post off my insurance company saying, please, can you give us a ring? Somebody's putting a claim against you. So I rung them up. I explained what happened over the phone, right? And without any proof or evidence, the company said, you was in the wrong. You pulled out onto a road where it was not safe to do so. That's all they said. And even though I explained the situation and says, yes, but it was safe to do so because 2 cars stopped to let me out, the road was clear. He was driving down the centre of the road where he should not have been. It was not my fault. They blame me. So, actually, at the time of this incident happened, it was coming to the end of my 2nd year with them as a customer. So, I thought, do you know what, if you're going to blame me, if you're going to be like this, I'm just going to leave and go somewhere else. I didn't cancel my insurance. I let it run till the end of the year and just ended my insurance after my 2nd year. I did not cancel it. Then shortly after, obviously I left them, letters started coming through the door, right? Now this is where it gets hilarious. Letters started coming through the door, right, saying that I owed them 15 grand. 15 grand, right? And here, see if there's no... Here is the rundown of apparently why I owed 15 grand and why were the vehicle damage costs 900. Now, like I said, there was a small dent in this passenger door, a very small dent, not loads of damage, a small dent, right? So whether that adds up to 900, I don't know. Storage, don't know what that was, don't know what storage is for. Recovery, there was no recovery of any vehicles. Hire, whether they had to hire a car, they were a taxi firm, I'm sure they've got loads of cars, so I don't think there would have been any. Personal injury, right? This is what makes me laugh the most. 3.5 grand for personal injury. Nobody was injured in the accident, no one. Solicitor costs. There was no, it was, I mean, I don't know what he did, whether he went to solicitors, obviously, but as far as I know, there was no solicitors involved. Other medical and hospital needs. Again, no accidents, nobody went to hospital because of it. And then, obviously, subtotal cost came to 15 grand. Came to 15 grand. What can I say to that? So, I just ignored it. I didn't bother ringing up, I didn't bother arguing it, I just ignored it. So then, of course, I started getting a repossessions letter through the door saying that you owe this company 15 grand. So what I did then, I rung up the recovery company and I said to them, I explained the situation and I said, I believe that I've been conned here. I believe that this company scammed me and conned me. They said, okay, we'll try and get back in touch with them, see what's going on, and then we'll get back in touch with you with an answer. Ever since then, not heard a thing, not one letter through the door, no phone calls, nothing, trying to recover the money, nothing. So a few years pass and obviously at this point I've stopped driving. Not only that, actually something that I've missed out is obviously I've left this company and I've tried going through somewhere else. This company and other companies that want £250 a month off me for car insurance, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, I started off paying £100 a month as a new driver with no claims bonus, and I thought that was quite expensive, but obviously you've got to start somewhere. After this, this company and other companies want £250 a month off me for car insurance, because as well the company took my no claims bonus off me, which they shouldn't have done because I'm certain that I protected them. So I'm devastated at this point because I'm like, well, I can't afford £250 a month, and not just that, but I don't want to pay £250 a month for car insurance. You know what I mean? When I've got people in the same area as me, same age as me, whatnot, paying £50 a month for car insurance, why would I want to pay £250 a month? It's not happening. So I left it to lie for a few years, and then I started thinking, well, do you know what? I should be fighting this. I should be fighting. I don't believe I've done anything wrong here. I don't believe this accident is my fault. Why am I being punished for it? So I got in touch with a financial omnibus company. Can't really say that word properly. And they said, well, you need to write your concerns down in an email and email the company. And also something else that they told me as well is that this company, apparently called Southern Rock, have gone into liquidation. Speaks volumes. They've gone into liquidation, but they work with Eldon Insurance, alongside whether they're sister companies or whatnot. Eldon Insurance, they were under them, or however it all works, I'm not sure. So I rung Eldon Insurance. Well, I wrote in a well-worded email to Eldon Insurance, and a guy rung me up. It was quite nice, actually, and he says, I'll be dealing with your case. I'm going to look into it and I'll get back to you. So he got back to me, and he basically turned around and said, we're no longer chasing you for the money. Everything's fine. And that was that. Put the phone down on me. And then I got thinking, well, you've never been chasing me for the money. That's the thing. You've never been chasing me for the money. You know what I mean? So the money wasn't an issue. What the issue was is, one, if it's not my fault and you're not chasing the money off me, I should have my no claims bonus back. That is my main issue. What I wanted was to get my 2 years no claims bonus back. But however, even though they're not chasing me for the money, they're still holding me 100% reliable for the accident and won't give me my no claims bonus back, even though they're not chasing me for the money anymore. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you, that they're still holding me accountable for the accident, however they don't want the money off me? They do not want 15 grand. I mean, I know if somebody owed me 15 grand for doing something, I'd be chasing them, I'd be taking them through every court in England to claim that off them. However, they're not interested in getting 15 grand out of me. Why? I don't know. But yeah, I'm still responsible for the accident, even though I personally don't think it was my fault. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think I was in the wrong here, having explained it the best I could? What do you guys think when it comes to driving? Do you think they should crack down on speeders, people who use the mobiles, things like that? How do you drive? What kind of driver are you? Please tell me you're careful. I hope you are. And what do you think of car insurance? Because honestly, car insurance, as far as I'm aware, in Australia, I believe car insurance is an option. You don't have to have it. Like, because I visited, my brother went to Australia for a year and he got a car there and he didn't pay insurance. And I drove his car for a while whilst I was out there. And I said, well, what about car insurance? Do you not need that? He says, no, it's optional here. Whether that's true or not, or how it works, I'm not 100% sure, because it's a different country. And obviously, the rules will be different in other places. But in England, you have to have insurance. However, the amount of money you pay for car insurance, and then when you get into an accident, just isn't worth it. It is not worth it. I mean, even if you do pay £50 to £100 a month in car insurance, and then you getting into an accident, you're never going to get that full amount of the accidents back, and it's going to ruin your no claims bonus, whether it is your fault. I mean, I'm going to speak highly of my dad here. My dad has been driving for years, for 30 years, more than that, and is also a bus driver, and he's never ever got into an accident, and he's a really, really good, careful driver. However, every year when he renews his car insurance, it goes up. The car insurance for him goes up, and it's not fair. It should not be allowed to. It's, you know what I mean? You should be praised if you're a good driver and you've not been in an accident. It should come down, or they should reward you, or in some way or other not punish you. When there's people out there who are making a mockery of the driving system, who go, like I said, these people who, you know what I mean, are speeding and getting done and things like that, and then they're still allowed back on the road and stuff like that. It's not fair. And then obviously you've got to bring into considering all these people that are putting false claims in, you know what I mean, when they've been in an accident and they're claiming that they're injured when they're not, and claiming that somebody else was in the car when they wasn't. It's not good. Crash for cash claims, I hate them. Absolutely despise them. So, guys, let me know your thoughts on this topic about driving, about insurance. Like I say, put all your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Do your own reaction video. Is there anything I can do for this company? Up to now, at the minute, I'm just letting it lie, and it's got to a point where I think after 5 years your record gets quite clean, and hopefully I'll just start again from fresh with no claims bonus. You know what I mean? Whether I do come back to driving or not, I don't know. At the minute, I'm happy not driving, even though I miss it, because I love to drive. Like driving, the freedom of it, being able to jump in a car, go where you want, when you want. The freedom is so good. However, I just find it cheaper to hire a car every now and again when I need to, rather than owning a car and chucking away car insurance money every month. It is a rip-off. And plus that, on top of petrol, tax, breakdown costs, things like that, it's just cheaper to hire one when and if I need one. So yeah, so come on guys, please give me your thoughts and opinion on this. Put your comments down below, and until the next time, bye.